So how do we solve for y in that second equation? Subtract 2x. So we subtract 2x from both sides. You get y equals negative 2x plus 10. And I'm just leaving this in slope-intercept form with the x term first and then the number term second. So we've isolated the variable. Because we did that, we can then take the variable and instead of the y right here, we can plug in negative 2x plus 10. Here's what it looks like. 3x plus 4 times the quantity, negative 2x plus 10 equals 12. Okay? What do I do next, Jack? Distribute. We're going to multiply 4 times negative 2 and 4 times 10. So we get 3x minus 8x plus 40 equals 12. What are the like terms I can combine on the left side of the equals, Riley? X's, what do I get? 3x minus 8x. Negative 5x plus 40 equals 12. What do I do next case? Subtract 40 from both sides. So we get negative 5x equals negative 28. What is the last step, Hayden? Almost. Negative 5. Divide both sides by negative 5. We get x equals 5.6. Don't doubt yourself if you get a decimal. We're in Algebra 2. Decimals are okay. We now can take that 5.6 and plug that in for the x because we already solved that equation for y. So we can plug in for the x. Looks like this. Y equals negative 2 times 5.6 plus 10. What's 5.6 doubled? 11.2. So y equals negative 11.2 plus 10. What do I get? Negative 1.2. So it's a good idea to write your final answer as an ordered pair. 5.6 and negative 1.2. So let's have a little recapper on that problem as soon as people are done writing it. So step 1, you want to isolate one of the variables. Find the easiest variable to isolate. In this case for us, it was the y right here in the second equation. Why is that the easiest variable to isolate? Yeah, no number in front, no negative in front. It's literally the easiest possible one to isolate. If you isolate like up here, then you end up with fractions and it's not going to make you happy. Okay, so try to isolate the variable without anything in front, including a negative. Sometimes you'll have to deal with a negative, but not always. Okay, next one. So I want you to write down 6 lessons is $300 and 12 lessons is $480. Realize that the price includes the one-time fee. So let's read this sentence or paragraph while you guys write that stuff down. And we're going to use substitution. So I'll teach you 4 different ways to solve a linear system. What's a linear system? They use all these math words when you do SAT. If you don't know what a linear system is, you might miss that problem on SAT and you should get it right. 2 equations. System, 2 equations. They're going to have 2 variables in the 2 equations. Linear system. Linear is like y equals mx plus b, right? You have a y and an x. So if it's a linear system, you're going to have a y and an x and 2 equations. That's all it means. Don't overthink it. A music store offers piano lessons at a discount for customers buying new pianos. The cost for a lesson and a one-time fee for materials like music books, CDs, software, etc. are shown in the advertisement. What is the cost of each lesson and the one-time fee? In Algebra 1 and 2, almost always you'll get the variable from that very last question. So we're going to call X cost of the lesson. And we're going to call Y the one-time fee, materials fee. So the key information in this problem is more over here. 6 lessons, $300, 12 lessons, $480. We'll make one equation out of that, second equation out of the 12 lessons. Who's got an idea of that first equation? Yeah. You can't because we also have this one-time fee? It's a good guess. Yeah. So what did we have for this part? Just plus y, yeah. So 6x plus y, because we don't know what the one-time fee is. It doesn't matter how many lessons, they charge you the same one-time fee, which is dumb. It's not a good business model. I'm going to write the second equation right next to it. Why don't you try to write the second equation on your paper right now, and then I'll write it up in a second. Second equation is coming from right here, the 12 lessons and the 480 plus a one-time fee. I'll come around and check your equations to motivate you to actually try to write them. Doesn't matter at all. So we're going to subtract 6x from both sides. And we get y equals negative 6x plus 300. Then instead of the y in this equation, we're just going to write negative 6x plus 300. So we get 12x plus, but I have a minus here. What do I write then if I have a plus from my formula and a minus here? I write a minus, right? Because a positive times a negative is a negative. So I'm going to erase my plus and make a minus instead. 6x plus 300 equals the 480 from up here. So now I can continue to solve that equation on the right. What should I do, Will? We can do that. Subtract 300. What's another first step you could have done as well? Combine like terms. Good. Doesn't really matter which one you do first. I'm going to combine like terms as well. So I get 6x equals 180. All we got to do then is divide by 6. What's x equal? 30. What is that? 30 what? $30 per what? Per lesson. So that's your units. You need all of that. right? If you just said $30, to take a half point off because you didn't write per lesson. So just make sure you do it. All we got to do then is take this 30 that we just solved for, and we can plug it in for this x right here. So you get y equals -6 times 30 plus 300. So you get y equals -180 plus 300. So what's the one-time fee? 120. $120 is your one-time fee. Case?
You have to do all that work, but you also just like multiply the time for lesson like by 6, and then you would just have 120 left over. Then you know that was.
As long as you set up the two equations, identified your variables, and then you just did that last little part in your head, I'm fine. But you just got to write the equations. That's the key. Okay, now we're doing elimination. So with substitution, we're trying to isolate a variable. With elimination, we're trying to combine the equations vertically, eliminating either x or y, whichever is easiest. So if you look at this equation, which eliminates automatic, x or y? X. Remember, we're combining vertically. When you combine vertically, you're just doing exactly what the signs tell you to do, nothing more. So 4x minus 4x right here is 0x. So we get plus 5y, 2y plus 3y is 5y, 9 plus 16, 25. Then all we got to do, it's like aha moment, like most of the crap cancels, divide by 5, both sides, y equals 5. Most common mistake is you guys are so used to getting an answer and then stopping. You got to get x and y, so don't forget that. It's a good thing to write in your notes, maybe at the top. Don't forget to get x and y. So we're going to take this 5 and plug it in for that y. Why do you think I chose that top equation as opposed to the bottom? There's no negative, right? Just always pick the easiest possible way to do the problem. The math is hard enough without. So we get 4x plus 2 times 5 equals 9. 2 times 5 is 10. What do I do now, TK? Minus 10, and then what's next? Right. So you get 4x equals -1. Divide both sides by 4. So x equals -1/4. And then written as an ordered pair, it would be -1/4, comma 5. So towards the end of the chapter, maybe block day tomorrow, I'll teach you how to solve this with matrices, which is super, it's of course, again, like 8 million button pushes, but once you get the process down, you can double check all your answers on these kinds of problems before you begin, so that if you make a stupid mistake, which is easy to do on these problems, you can correct it. Yeah?
You have to write it in an ordered pair to get it right?
If I tell you to, yes. Just follow the directions always. Just get in the habit of reading them. Okay. Write this one down. Again, show the two equations side by side. So 2x plus 7 equals 4, and 3x plus 5y equals -5. So we're going to solve these equations using elimination. The problem is if we try to combine vertically, nothing cancels. So what you have to do is multiply. I'm going to get rid of x's because the numbers are smaller than the y's. So if I look at this 3 down here at the bottom, I can just multiply it on the top. So if I multiply, Aaron, if I multiply this top equation by 3, what do I get for the x's? The x part once I distribute? Aaron?
Oh, for this? I'm sorry.
You can do it. Distribute to 3.
5x.
Multiply. Plus 21y equals 12. So now when I rewrite the second equation here, I got to make sure I have negative 6x. So what do I have to multiply it by? Negative 2, right? So that's a key move there. Multiply that second equation by negative 2. Distribute into all 3 parts. A lot of students will forget to distribute across the equal sign as well, so just be careful with that. We get negative 6x minus 10y equals 10. Now, the x's are going to cancel. 21 minus 10y is 11y. 12 plus 10, 22. And then we can divide both sides by 11. So y equals 2. I'm going to plug the 2 into this equation right here before I multiplied it, because all the numbers are positive. So we get 2x plus 7 times 2 equals 4. So we get 2x plus 14 equals 4. What's the next step, Riley? Subtract 14 from both sides. So you get 2x equals negative 10. And all you got to do is divide by 2. X equals negative 5. As an ordered pair, negative 5, comma 2. So if we were to solve both those equations for y and graph them, those 2 lines would cross at negative 5, positive 2. That's all we're doing. Okay, I want you to write down the 2 equations. Don't write down the verbiage below. We'll talk about that. But take a minute and write those down. Moral of the story on these equations, you're terrible. 0 equals 0. Is that a true statement? Yes, 0 does equal 0. Just by habit, shaking your head no, right? So that means it's all real numbers. If it's a true statement, it means it has infinite solutions, all real numbers. If you get 0 equals 16, that's not a true statement. That's why I wrote no solution over there. Okay? I was going to have you throw it again, but that was not going to work out anymore. Okay, so we're going to talk a little more, too, after you're done with this, about the slide we showed right at the end of class yesterday, because you need that knowledge. But you got to get this stuff down first. How many of you are overwhelmed right now, like too much stuff to do? Raise your hand. Raise it high. Look around. Look at how many hands are up. That's like half the class. So when you're overwhelmed, you need strategies to know how to deal with being overwhelmed. Some of you, because you're high school kids, make bad choices, like go home and get high, right? Drink. Some of you could be drunk right now, drinking out of your water bottle, right? I'm not stupid. I know these things. Just like some of you that go and hit your Juul in the bathroom, right? I know that too. Not that too hard, right? So you got to have coping strategies to deal with your madness. Most important thing when you're overwhelmed is pick one thing to do and complete it, right? It's not just start it, because all of you have been in that situation where you got like 10 things to do and you've got half done on all 10, and then you're like, oh shit, I got nothing. So make sure you get everything, like start one thing and complete it. That's what relieves the stress. And then we'll get, like, if, let's say you're football, volleyball, you're in the play or the band or whatever, you get home at 10 and you don't do your homework, right? You've all been in that situation, man or woman up, and do it anyways. That's when you feel most proud of yourself. Like I chose, when I went home yesterday, I took a nap, like 2-hour nap. It was fantastic. Sometimes that's a good choice too. And I knew because I did that, I was going to be working my butt off today, and I have been, but I didn't get everything done I wanted to today. So you got to make those choices, right? And you got to have methods for dealing with your stress. Listen to music, do meditation, go work out, right? You got to have methods to deal with your stress, because you guys get so stressed. We get people that are having issues mentally all the time because of that stress. So be careful. It's scary. Okay, here's the next slide I want to talk about. So you think about a consistent human versus an inconsistent human. Consistent, you're going to have a solution. It's going to make sense. Inconsistent person makes no sense. They have no solution. So I relate those two words to people that I can think of in my life. That helps me remember whether it's one solution or no solution. So with inconsistent, you have two different options, independent or dependent. Independent is one solution. You think about that independent person by themselves, one person, one solution. Dependent, they're depending on everybody else, so infinite number of solutions. They need lots of solutions, right? Because they depend on other people. So this is one chart to help you memorize that stuff. For me, because I'm stronger visually, I like this chart better. It resonates with me more. So if you like this chart better than the one on top, write it. That's fine. That's independent up there. You can barely see. So if you graph the two equations and the lines cross, that means it's consistent because it has a solution. It means it's independent because there is only one solution. If we look at this second, the reason they're purple is because the red and blue line are right on top of one another. So that makes it have infinite solutions all along this line. Okay, so consistent because it has a solution, dependent because it's infinitely many. If you end up with parallel lines, they never cross, so there is no solution to the equation. Julia, go put your phone up. Okay, so no solution, inconsistent. So parallel lines, inconsistent, no solution. Same line, infinitely many, consistent, dependent. Crossing, one solution, consistent, independent. She has to remember what phone slot she's in. She hasn't put it up in so long. Okay, that's it. That's all we got. Homework's on the board, page 146, 11 through 41 odd. Now 56 is a challenge problem. Remember, with challenge problems, you can get one participation point. So I assigned you a challenge problem just to remind you of that. I have it posted, 56, on the answers up here, or not on the answers, on the problems itself. Let me display those for you so you can get started. You got almost a half hour, so bust a move and get your work done. All right, here's your homework, ready to go. Oh, it's freaky. So have at it.